Hello, we're here in the LEC fan zone with some LEC fans. What are your names?
Valerio.
Tiago.
Anna.
Ville.
Josef.
Pirates.
Omega Man.
It's an Omega Man, okay. I have a little quiz for you before we start. What I would like you to do, I'm going to hold this up to the camera and then I'll show you guys, is name this player, okay? Who do you think this is?
The hands, I have no idea.
I must
The hair is
say FLICKR, maybe?
You think it's FLICKR?
No, it has hair.
You have to rush your hair.
Yike, maybe no.
Okay, final answer.
Sure.
Yike.
Yike?
Yes.
I'm disappointed in G2 fans. This was obviously Jankos. Obviously Jankos. This player. Dun dun dun, who could it be? Any idea who this is?
Maybe Mickey. I would say Caps.
Say Caps, okay.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I need a final answer. We're gonna go with Caps.
Mickey. Matteo can go Caps.
Yeah?
You can go Caps.
All right, well, unfortunately, it's not Caps. His name is Ice. He's a new player. I'm not surprised you didn't get it, I'm going to be honest. The game is pretty simple. I'm going to show you a player silhouette. First, I'm going to show it to the camera. The lovely people at home can see. Who is this?
I would go for Elioya.
Elioya.
It is Elioya. First people to get one right here. That is your prize. Congratulations. Next up, we'll have a look at this item. Dun, dun, dun. A new item in Season 14. Any idea what item this is?
It's the item that Nocturne builds currently, but I don't know the name.
It is the item Nocturne builds. I'll give you half credit for that, but you have no idea of the name. Can you make one up?
Zeke's Convergence or something.
Okay, Zeke's Convergence is a different item, so I'm taking off the point I gave you earlier. Any suggestions from over here?
Purple mask.
This is an experimental hex plate. You have let me down once again. Enjoy your popcorn. I'll see you later. This is an item in Season 14. Now I want you to name, what is this item? It might be upside down. It could be this way, I think.
Upside down heart.
Void thingy. Purple.
Okay, these are very good suggestions. I'd love to shout that name in a cast. Any other suggestions?
No.
No, okay. This is Malignance, obviously. You've both failed. Next up, what item is this? Wait to see the item before you guess. You know, you can see it from the side. No, you're cheating. Or what do we think this is?
Opportunity.
Opportunity.
You disappointed me. You're wrong. That is Terminus. Opportunity is purple. Off you go. I'm going to leave this way. It's great to be here in the LEC.
Welcome everyone to day 2 of the LEC 2024 Winter Split. My name is Broxer and today I'm here to teach you all about the support role in the new season. But Broxer, aren't you a jungler? Many of you are probably asking, and well, that's kind of true. But that's exactly why I brought an expert with me. So let's give a warm welcome to... I'm honestly not even sure where he is right now. Hello?
Joining us today, a player infamous for his love of dogs, so much so he even picks them at Worlds, but he's a loyal friend and an even better man. He's always at the top of the standings and at the top of his game. He's been sitting warming the bench, but it's better than flipping burgers. It's Trimby!
Hey, man. Someone's popular, huh? So, we're in a new ranked season since, well, Wednesday. Everything is still pretty new and fresh. I would love to hear from you. What is different? What do we need to know about?
Well, when it comes to support, obviously the support item is one of the things that people try to look around. And first of all, there's only one item now. You don't really need to think too much about it. It's basically a combination of Relic Shield and Spell Shield, Relic Shield and Spell Thief, which means now that you can gain gold with both hitting enemy champions or farming the minions, like as you can see in the clip. And it's a pretty nice thing, you know, just to like be able to do that. And until 500 gold, not much happens, to be fair. You just get the rewards as you normally did, and then when 1k gold comes up, that's where kind of things change. There's quite a lot to talk about.
Yeah, because I can see there's a lot of different items behind us here, 5 in fact. What are they all about?
Well, to be frank, there's a lot on the screen, but to kind of short it up a little bit, like first one, it's like an Infernal Soul that just like does an explosion. Second one is like the movement speed buff that also heals you after CCing. The third one is like enchanterish one where you just, when you shield or heal, you kind of give a nice bonuses. The fourth one is the, I would say it's like a Sheen and PTA proc, but only on one auto attack, which sounds kind of broken. And the fifth one, it's a pretty good one, which is like a mini crown, I would say, in which that obviously as a crown you just like get the damage mitigated when you get the damage on you.
Okay, so if you are a support player on any of these teams, how does this affect how you play in game, and what do you think the ideal support would look like right now in terms of like champion pool, the way you approach it compared to last season?
I think right now when it comes to game style, pretty much you can choose from all of those 5 what you kind of want to do and what to provide for your team. I think that's something that is extremely cool about this change. And I feel like, you know, some of those items, for example, the Blood Song, I feel like it will be used way more than we would normally think of. Right now, I feel like it can be used on the champions like Nautilus or Leona, where you just go in and you amplify the damage, even though you kind of feel like you should be more tanky. And yeah, you deal so much damage with your whole team. And yeah, those items, I think they will kind of show what support thinks what, and I think that will be something interesting to see, you know, what's inside the pro's mind.
Well, at least I now will have an idea of what to do when I'm also filled. Hope the same goes for many of you players out there. Now, to intro our opening match of the day, let's check in with Giant X, Jackies, and head coach Hedon.
Thank you so much, Broxa. A lot of insights when it comes to the next patch, but I have players and coach from Giant X here to talk about the amazing debut from you, Jackies, yesterday, and Hedon as well. Thank you so much for joining me ahead of today's game. I'm going to come to you a bit later. But first, Hedon, you joined the project of Excel, former Excel, of course, last year. You had to compose with the situation that was given to you. This year was different in the sense that you built the entire project, keeping some members, bringing some new ones. Tell me about the coherence and what you hope to achieve with this project, and why did it make sense to choose these players?
Okay, let's start from the beginning. So the beginning was obviously that I came into this situation and had to do my best with the pieces I was given. I'm not against that at all. I think it's important as a coach to be able to adapt to the situation you're in. But obviously it's a lot more fun when you get to pick the pieces yourself, because if you do that, you kind of have what you want, right? For the most part, you know, within reason, within budget. So this project that I have here is super exciting for me, because all the 5 players we have, they want to play somewhat the same way, and we could see that from the moment we stepped on the rift the first time around. And yeah, it's just super exciting. And in terms of like goals for us, I don't want to say we need to win LEC, we need to go to Worlds. We will take it one day at a time, and then the results will come.
Starting slow, I think, is the best approach, especially when you have rookie and younger players like yourself, Jackies, making their debut in the LEC. You had an amazing game yesterday, MVP after your first game stepping in on stage. And I remember when we talked during the off-season, you were telling me that you did not expect to join the LEC, and actually it came as a surprise. So what was going through your mind before you made your first steps on stage yesterday, and when you saw that you smurfed it afterwards?
I mean, I wouldn't say I smurfed it, but my first thoughts was, I mean, I don't really remember my first thoughts, not gonna lie, but I felt really comfy on the stage. Like, it kind of felt like I was playing at home a bit, because I think the stage is made really good. And regarding to the game, I think I kind of almost threw the game, not gonna lie, at the mid-play, but then I won it, in a way. I think it was kind of just them thing, but, you know, I got a good highlight, so I don't mind. Yeah. And, yeah. That's all I can say.
And I think it's about recovery, especially because even though you had a misstep, it didn't throw you off. You kept on going and saved the day in the end with the rest of the team. What did you think about his first steps, Hedon, and how did you make him ready? Because to feel so comfortable on stage, even though he didn't play, I feel like there's been an inside job done from the coaching staff and the rest of the team.
Yeah, okay. So with Jackie's, obviously he is someone who you can see he's very comfortable. I cannot teach him to be comfortable on stage. I cannot teach him to have the kind of finesse he has. That's something he was given before handed over to me. But I can teach him how to play the game, and I can teach him how to be the personality he is. And I think you didn't see anything about what he is capable of doing without hyping him up too much. But when you see it, you will know it.
Jackies, one word about your opponent today. BDS
One word?
The opening game. Yeah.
Easy.
All right, easy. We'll take it there.
I
Thank
think
you
easy,
so
yeah.
much. Good luck today. Thank you for
thank
joining
you.
me ahead of the game, of course.
Thank you.
And Shocks, back to you.
Thank you so much. It was great to hear from Hidon and Jackies. And Jackies yesterday actually made everyone know his name immediately when Giant X was able to win their first game in the LEC. And Trimby, I've heard from many a pro player and many a content creator that he was a player to watch already in the in-houses and in the season, or the time rather, leading up to this season.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, some of those young players, you know, they showed up pretty good, and one of those was Jackie's. I think his champion pool was quite nice when it comes to how he wants to initiate, how he wants to do things on his own. I would say, especially this game, right? Like normally when you come onto the stage, you kind of want to play pretty much like scaling champions, and here he plays Nico. It's quite of a broken champ at the end of the day, but when it comes to how he played and like functioned, he did it really well. Like look how, like pretty much all of the team fights that he did, and when he was shining a lot, and it just showcased how good he was playing.
I think it was the confidence that really got to me. Like plays like this, right? Like you're a rookie, it's your first game on stage, and immediately you're stepping up to the plate going, no, I can make the play that will define this game. And he did it not once but twice across the course of that game. I think it was, it speaks volumes to this guy as a player, but also to both the pickups that we got to see coming through on Giant X as well. Because I think Ignar, another big performer that came in this squad, he looked fantastic on the Blitzcrank.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you draft the way you do, you play against actually Helisang and Karzi, and yeah, just like that, you just give Ignar his Blitzcrank, which back in the day, it was kind of his signature pick, and he just showcases, right, like that he, even though, right, he comes technically from an A, right, like
yeah.
he just makes things work, and it just looks so good, actually.
He's an honorary coming from an A player because he did beat us at Worlds, so yeah, it's really cool that now he's on our side again. By the way, welcome, Dagda,
to
the desk. I didn't do that properly, but on all accounts, I think a resounding success for Giant X in their very first match, even though they even experienced kind of throwing and then getting it back, so they got everything done. BDS on the other side, they were up against G2 in their very first match of winter, Dagda, and they didn't have the best time.
Well, I mean, they had a great time in the early stages.
Yeah.
It kind of worked out pretty well. They were getting control against BB in the top side. It was starting to go well, but I think it kind of shows the dichotomy that we need to look at coming in the early stages of League, which is, I mean, look, sick entrances from the lads, but it's sick entrances in game as well. But it is a course of like, you need to close it out. And I think when you look at like, okay, they hyper focused on the Void Grubs. They didn't get Dragons. They were playing a mid game comp, and it just kind of fell apart where you got to the point G2 could just sit back, scale, come into team fights where they're comfy. I think that was the problem here for BDS.
And Trimby, the bot lane, talk to me about what you saw, because of course the big question was, Crowny now gone, what is Ice going to be able to do?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much they started pretty well, even though on bot lane was not looking as hot at first. I think the game went pretty well into the mid game, but then right afterwards it felt like they were kind of disjointed, you know, in a sense that they were always starting team fights, and I saw a lot of times Ice couldn't even join them, even though he was like the one that was supposed to carry. And then afterwards you look at damage charts, and it just feels like he's not dealing damage, but he was never there to actually deal it, just because of how BDS decided to take the fights in this and this area where, yeah, pretty much not the main carries can even follow, which is pretty bad for a team to do. But it's first day of the season, so we'll see how it goes in the next games.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I think for BDS especially, we know how much they incrementally grew throughout last year as well. For Giant X, we heard a lot of whisperings that they were going to be good as well. But now the question is, what kind of a ceiling are we looking at? And it's always so exciting when you look at new players like Jackie's coming in and immediately having a performance like that.
Yeah, and I think that's the big one for me. Because when we were talking about this on Euphoria a lot, like this team for me was going to be a case of, look, I don't know how Jackie's is going to perform. They didn't have the best of times until they added Abadaga into the mid lane last split. So I was kind of like, look, is this going to be a GX that starts to fall to the wayside? But the fact that their bot lane is performing, their mid lane is overperforming as well. Peach even had a great series. It feels like this is going to be a fantastic time for GX.
There was only one game.
Sorry,
it felt like a series at some points. We do have a small delay on stage, as you probably already snuffed out. But let's hear from Adam before this match.
My goal above everything is to be like the best top lane in Europe, and that I want to be one of the only Western top laners that can really face those like best Asian top laners, and I kind of want to create like a legacy in Europe.
He does have the Strive Breaker finish. Actually, he's going to hop on the stick, just cleanses, just starts to walk him down. Is he just going to have a Garen moment? He is!
I'm really like proud to have the opportunity, you know, to be able to like mondialize myself, because not a lot of players are able to do that, especially from Europe. So I'm glad that you know, I can join this club to have international fans all across the world. I'm really proud for that, and it gives me even more hunger to satisfy all of them.
Adam, he made a name for himself, not just here in Europe, but also at Worlds last year, but of course focused on that continued development. We brought Broxa back as maybe, you know, I'm not going to jinx it. Maybe it won't be a while. Maybe it will. We hope it won't. But we have a lot to talk about, and I think this is cool because there are a ton of overreactions, obviously, after day one. But we have some time to kind of go through the ranks. So, Broxa, I'll start with you, maybe. In terms of yesterday and kind of some of the teams, was there any team that particularly caught you off guard in a good or a bad way?
Well, it has to be Matt, right?
Okay,
like Matt Lance Koi, they were incredible. All of us ranked them 10th, and all of a sudden they just come in with so much confidence. Elyoya kind of leading the charge, everybody else playing absolutely incredible, and it was nice in a way to be proven so completely wrong.
It's only one game, but yeah. I like it. I'm here for the headlines, and the headlines only.
I mean, that's the much right? Like, it's how much do we overreact, right? But let's be real, right? Yes, Heretics did throw the ball early, but I think the fact that they caught it so incredibly well, they set up themselves really strong in the early to mid game, and then how effectively they snowballed it, because I think one of the things that you can never doubt about, like, the veterancy with Jankos and Wunder and Perks is they are very good at finding those moments where we're like, oh, we can just turn a game. We can play off of a side lane. We can find something that will bring this game back in our favor. But that wasn't what we got. It was a clean rollover from Matt, and that says a lot more to me.
It does. It's a great start, Trimby. And I mean, you've probably been in this position. In fact, I'm sure you've been in this position where people are doubting you a fair bit. And Elyoya was saying, I don't care what they say, but I can't remember who it was. I think it might have been Alvaro, who has a wallpaper of all the hate comments and all the criticism that they got before, using it as fuel. What a great way to start the split, really.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. It's like, I think, yeah, about the fuel, it's just, I come from the time where, you know, as Rogue, we're always like the chokers, right?
Yeah.
We would never win the split, etc. And we did not win for the most part, right? But it gave a lot of it gave the energy to actually show everybody wrong, you know, to like make people realize that it's really not a thing. And right, like, it's kind of understandable that you put them that low on in the tier list, because you don't really know that much how it's gonna be from ERL to LEC, the development, how they're gonna actually perform. But at the end of the day, they were extremely good, you know, and they showed so much good stuff.
And I do like that they stuck to that style from EMEA Masters. Like the fact that we end up with, hey, we're going to go for this heavy bot style play, we're going to gank there, we're going to look for invades, we're going to look for skirmishes. This was what they found success with in EMEA Masters. They got to the finals, and it's cool to see that they're now making it work at an LEC level as well.
I think the impressive part for me was that if we look at, let's say, G2 BDS or Fnatic Carmen Corp, those games were pretty close for the most part until eventually Fnatic and G2 just took completely over and destroyed them.
Yeah.
But here, they got the lead and they just rolled with it. Like Heretics had no chance. It looked like Heretics were the rookies playing on stage for the first time, and that's an impressive and difficult thing to do.
Yeah, and it was there more cause for concern? Because, you know, I had a gander on social media, of course, and with Heretics, it's always the question. You have that incredibly successful top side. You have a bot lane that has been successful as well, but is it all going to click? And starting from draft, you're like, okay, is this really the priorities you'd want to go for?
Yeah, I think that's the big takeaway for me. Like, from watching yesterday's games, champions that can go for these early invades off of bot side pressure seem to be the best way forward. Like, I think things like Xin Zhao, that you can have these early skirmishes, and that early 1v1 potential is massive. And every time you got the push on bot side, you could see that these teams were trying to invade, to contest blue, to contest the bot side. And I think that's what we're going to see more and more start to creep into the gameplay. And I think it was just a really good read from Mad Lions, but a bit of a terrible read from Heretics on the opposite side, to be like, we're going to take the Vi and try and fight with no priority bot, no priority mid, and try and take the 1v1 against the Xin Zhao. I think they just weren't ready for the meta, and I think it was a very rude wake-up call for them.
I mean, on the other hand, if you look at it from a different perspective, the map changed, right? And like Mad Lions pretty much abused a lot in the early game how map changed when it comes to bot side. Like, think right now, when it comes to red side bot lane, it's way harder to play when enemy can invade so easily and when you have push from mid and specifically here, but the bot lane. It just felt like they abused it so much that Heretics, I feel like they also got a little bit caught off guard with like how the changes were made. Even though you get to really practice the map, it's not that much of a practice at the end of the day, so you're still kind of getting used to it, and that's why, you know, it's so impressive that with the time that they had, they managed to get a really good game plan around, and yeah, they successfully made it work.
Yeah, it's completely different when you actually have to play it in the studio, right, for an official game. Now, in terms of an update, we are currently experiencing issues relating to starting game lobbies. As League officials are investigating, we're going to head over to the caster desk because Ferius wants to introduce a special guest for today.
Yes, thank you very much, Shox. I have been told that we have a special guest caster today. I never got a special intro, but apparently the producers have prepared something, so let's see what that is.
Entering the arena, thankfully on the floor, as he's deathly afraid of heights, which probably explains why he's never climbed higher than gold. He's a world traveller, a rapid talker, and the caster that stayed with the LPL for the longest. Hailing from Australia, the Thunder from down under, Hysterics!
You really used our resources to make that intro for yourself? That's what you did? You just came here and you're
First thing. First thing. I got here. I came all the way from Australia and I'm like, man, I gotta make it special. To be fair, you guys encouraged me, so it's not completely my fault.
It's true. Welcome to the caster desk, Hysterics. It's an absolute pleasure to have you here. For those that don't know, our man here, he is an expert on the LPL. He's been casting them for what, 1 million years?
Like 6, yeah.
6 million years.
Since 2019, so
crazy, man.
Been around the bend.
Crazy. We did have the pleasure of casting together at the World Championship, and I'm more than happy to welcome here.
Yeah.
Here to the LEC stage. You are going to be joining us today and tomorrow as well. Is that right, my friend?
It is absolutely right. And it's a pleasure to be on games that we're doing as well, because you know, you look at face value at the start of the split and you'd be like, man, maybe these games don't have as much merit as they should. Maybe these games don't hold as dear to the heart as the top 4 teams, right? But at the moment, we're looking at a very different situation, especially in Giant X, right? Pulling their big win off yesterday when a lot of people had them middling in the middle of the split.
Yeah, for sure. Expectations were pretty low for both teams coming into the start of the season, but that's the crazy thing about our best of 1 format, especially when we are coming in on a brand new patch. We did get to see the LCK teasing a little bit the new map and the new games, but it's not quite enough, as you rightly said. Here in the LEC, though, we got to see a lot yesterday. So many different champion priorities, so many different play styles and approaches, and I think that's one of the big questions coming into today, because when we think of BDS as a team, they had a formula for success last year. They were very much early dragons into hyperscaling, into team fighting, right? And yesterday they came out guns blazing. They're looking for fights. They're looking for that early aggression, but they didn't quite make it work against G2.
I mean, against G2, the early game, as you were saying, was so good. I mean, BDS brought us to our heels a little bit. Solo kill for topside for Adam as well on his Renekton versus Broken Blade, which is such a big feat. But I think more importantly, the fact that, you know, we've got to see if this is a blip. You said this backstage to me, like, is this a blip, or are we going to start going to trend setting of, like, BDS back to same old, maybe it's only the tournaments or at least the moments that matter, like playoffs, like season finals, where they can get it across the line.
Yeah, exactly that, because when you bring in a player like Ice, expectations are that there's going to be some type of shift with BDS, right? Clearly there was something that wasn't working for them last year, but now all of a sudden needs to be changed. And so eyes are going to be on a player like Ice. Eyes are going to be on this BDS roster to see what these changes are. And so far yesterday, the idea was good. The execution, not quite there yet, though.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of questions that come through from Ice. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are just joining us, remember that we are currently experiencing issues relating to starting game lobbies. The league officials are investigating. That's why you're chilling out with us for the time being. And you get to chill with this awesome crowd. Yesterday, they were loud. It doesn't matter if you're G2, you're here for KC, you're here for MAD, any other team. There was one SK fan yesterday going for it as loud as possible.
The energy was absolutely electric yesterday. And I'm excited to see these fans once again in, of course, our new arena.
Me too.
Making their way onto the stage will be BDS versus Giant X, I should say. And while we did talk a little bit about BDS, for Giant, I think what was the crazy thing was how we saw Patrick kind of coming into his own, right? He's a player that is a bit of a veteran here in Europe. He's someone that's been playing for a very long time, and he's been known for a variety of different play styles. Yesterday, he got his hands on the Draven. Yesterday, he got some very early kills, and he was absolutely dominant on the champ, and he absolutely ran away with it. Now, of course, their mid-game did get a little bit chaotic, and that's where we got to see Jackie's really come into his own and have a huge impact on the Nico.
It's huge.
But I wonder what their approach will continue to be. Are we going to continue to see this bot-side aggression? Are we going to continue to see this team-fight approach from Giants, or are they going to show us something different today as well?
Because I think for Giant X, a really good point is coming from NRG. I mean, Ignar was a big playmaker at Worlds, right? Like, there's two really big players on that team in the bottom side. It makes sense if they get ahead, then they're just going to start taking over. I mean, we're not even at the G2 game yet, and we're already going for it. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering, we also have Odo, who talked to us about last year and moving forward with the squad while we're waiting.
I think if we manage to keep the discipline and belief that we had in the summer split for the whole year and in every day of practice, I think that's going to push us forward at a consistently really good level, because I felt like in summer we were a team that felt like was very, very well coached, and we were winning games off of, you know, how good our macro was and how disciplined we are.
Abadaga looking to base, but Razor wants to fight. Limit going in and get the stun onto Razor. Humanoid now locked up as well. He's dead. And you can hear it in the air. You can feel it in this moment. Excel not to be denied by Fnatic again.
I feel like now we have more tools to do such a thing, but now it's more on us to keep that discipline up for the whole year, and if you manage to do that, I think we're gonna end up in a good spot.
Well, it's great to see that Odo is still doing as well as he does, and I feel like he's the kind of player, Trimby, I mean, you have experience as well. He's always going to keep going for that goal. You notice it in everything he does.
And of course, when you even look at his achievements pretty much throughout all the years, like I think there was only 1 year that, you know, he didn't actually go like quite high when it comes to like top positions in LEC, and it's just, you know, if you see at someone's legacy, like Odo's is just wonderful, and yeah, he just keeps pushing every day. It's not like, right, he's like out there and he's just like playing just to play. He actually like tries to push himself every single day to be better.
He does, and I hope he gets to play soon, because if you're just joining us, we are currently experiencing issues relating to starting game lobbies, and league officials are investigating. But you might have seen that there were no players behind the casters just now on stage in their seats. So, Trimby, this is a great welcome for you to the LEC. It seems like it's going to be a long one. What do you want to talk about? Come on, throw it in here.
But honestly, if there's a slot open over there on like the support chair, I mean, I could like join in, you know.
Who do you think you're replacing?
Oh, okay, you got, no, I'm not answering that.
No, but there was a bit of chatter, and I think we kind of noticed it as well. Supports, generally, they didn't have the best time yesterday. I don't know what's going on. Do you love to see it?
I mean, it's first day, it happens, you know, like... I mean, it's nice a bit, but not like, you know how it goes.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
we took the best support out of the league, you know. He's now on the desk with us. It's like, it's tough, you know. You gotta move somewhere.
For sure, but we'll see. Actually, let's talk about yesterday's supports, or the teams in general, as we will have BDS hopefully soon. They played versus G2. Let's dissect their team comp a little bit. And this was the first game of the day. And I think generally we saw a bunch of trends, really, like Gwen seemingly being super OP, wasn't actually in this game, I believe. Is this the right?
I don't think this is the right one. There was definitely not a Ziggs yesterday, so I'm not.
Like, did we forget that there was Ziggs and a Karma?
I think we got some of the picks that are there.
I wish this was the draft.
Yeah, that would have been sick.
I think it's last year. I would say Vitality was playing because Kai'Sa mid, maybe Vitio, maybe the team.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah.
But I don't know. Wait, what was?
This was actually a fun game. Try to remember what that was.
I mean, if there is a Ziggs Karma into Kalista Renata, oh, that's actually a hell of
That's actually great.
So much fun actually going on there.
Yeah, but generally, I think you know, top lane didn't have a good time. I think yesterday, specifically, if you were up against that Gwen.
I think kind of the interesting one for me with BDS and G2 is we kind of got to see a split of what I think are the two ways the meta could go, right? Where I think you're looking at, like, we can go for the Kalista in the bot lane, we can go for the Renekton top, we can go for even Nocturne in the jungle. We can go for these picks that are super strong mid-game, and let's just try and snowball completely out of control. We get the Void Grubs early, we hit that Rift Herald, we start that snowball, we get Dragons, and we're just completely taking over the game so quickly. Versus where I think we'll probably end up going, which is, hey, I'm going to go for a K'Sante in the top lane. I'm going to go for more tanks. I'm going to take a Felio spot with an Enchanter, keep him safe, and just look to try and slow down the game until I can get to the later point. Because I think actually losing both Rift Heralds has definitely made it more difficult to snowball the game. Because personally, look, I said it behind the scenes, I think Void Grubs are a bit of a bait. I think they're a bit of a waste.
Yesterday I was thinking, I mean, obviously you have another objective to go for, obviously. And if you look at kind of videos of people in the preseason or you watch, you know, sometimes it goes crazy and sometimes you have a ton that are knocking on the Nexus doors, but that really doesn't happen.
But that's the thing, right? So I looked at it. You get 75 XP for everyone that you kill, right? And you get less gold than you get from Gromp. So your Gromp is at level 4. I think it was like working at like 132 XP or something like that. So you have to kill 2 of these things, which is significantly longer than a Gromp to kill. You don't get as much gold. And as well, you have to get all 5 or 6 of them to really make it worthwhile. And even yesterday we saw, you get like 2 of them. The enemy jungler shows up and you're like, ah, crap, I gotta leave it. And he just comes up and takes one nice and handily. So I don't know, it feels like to me, it isn't a big enough of a, hey, I can like snowball. Like if it was Rift Herald, right? You're like, oh, I can probably get 3 plates and a turret. Or something if I get these. But when it's like the little grubs, you're like, ah, I get decent damage, but I have to be in a winning place to actually use it versus what Rift Herald was I can actually snowball off this.
Yeah, I think that's the thing, that it just doesn't feel as rewarding as doing Dragon or getting the Rift Herald we had before, right? And I think the BDS game is a perfect example of that, because they drafted a full early game team comp. I believe they got all Void Grubs, 6 stacks, and it didn't matter, because eventually the Kalista and Renekton were completely outscaled. G2 could just sit back and just demolish them with their Phelios Renata late game scaling comp. And even the Gwen managed to come back at some point, right? So it's like, how far do you really want to go to secure these crops? And will they actually be able to make that big of a difference? Because I would agree with you, Dr. Yesterday, they looked like a bit of a bait.
Also, sometimes, like, you have to hit the tower to activate them.
Yeah.
If they've got wave clear on the other side, you're just going to watch your wave disappear. You're like, there was a grub, I'm sure, in there somewhere, but it doesn't make a difference at all. It's like...
Finn did such a good job trying to sell us on the Void Grubs as well.
I mean, he's a cowboy. What can I say?
Yeah, what can we say? Indeed, it would be sad if, like, even though there are more incentives that can facilitate your early game snowballing or your early game pressure, it would still kind of get us in a meta again where we go to the late game comps. Why does this always happen?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's Enchanters. I mean, Trimby, you can speak to this. Enchanters are just busted at the moment. I think all the itemization has just made them so strong.
I mean, that's true. When with the new items right now coming up, and the fact that support items are a bit cheaper than they used to be last season, it just comes up a little bit together. But on the other hand, there is a second item, like a blood song that I talked about, and it feels like that item, if you can build it on any engaged support and just like hit that one auto attack, it's not that much, you know, you're a support player, like you just can't, you can just get an auto attack. It's hard, but I would say if you get that one and I think it's amplifying like 12%, it's so much damage for your whole team. It just feels so good.
I was playing with Ox the other day, and he built Bloodsong and Nautilus. He out-damaged our mid laner and top laner. Like the amount that you can get out of this is absolutely insane. I think even like we were talking about it backstage, we started to see like double support items picked up in bot lane. We've seen double support items picked up in top. It's like there is so much happening with these support items at the moment, and even then, I think that's why you've got a lot of variability that can actually play in the bot lane. If we've got the Void Grub salesman, for Finn. I'm going to be the ardent sensor salesman because I think that item is so strong at the moment, but I think you've got a lot of stuff you can work with.
Not again.
I'll be the harbinger of doom with it. I think we will end up going back to it. I think Melio is super strong with this, but yeah, I can see we got the drafts up behind us.
We do. Braxa, talk to me about champion pool yesterday and in general, and of course we talked about, well, likely you're going to have to see a higher emphasis on junglers that are able to do good clears early, etc. A lot of pressure on farming, but still we saw a lot of ganks. I think more ganks coming through than I personally expected.
Yeah, I think funnily enough, the meta hasn't changed that much from what we saw at the end of last year, including Worlds, right? But I think now there's going to be ganks, there's going to be dives. Bot lane especially is going to be very easy to gank compared to the past. And I think part of why a lot of teams are choosing these teamfight comps is the fact that with Void Grubs, with Dragons, with Herald, everything, like there's so many reasons to fight at all times. And there's different ways to approach it. Again, teams like BDS went full early game, didn't really work out for them. Others just sat back and started scaling, waiting for the late game fights. And I think both have a place in the meta, but it just comes down to how good you are at snowballing. Because if you can snowball as well as Matt did in the last game, you can easily get away with playing Kalista, Renekton, etc.
Yeah.
But you cannot make mistakes, because one single mistake can lose you the entire game.
What way do you think we're going to see the meta go, though? Because I think there's like two different ways it can break here. I think it'll either be we go for a hyper push bot lane and mid, and then you try to invade with a Xin Zhao, kill the enemy jungler and get wins that way. Or do you think it'll be a case of, hey, we want to slow down because we can't gank as heavy, maybe bot lane gets better at warding out for these situations or whatever the meta evolves into, and then we go back to like the Graves and the farming junglers instead?
I think there's always going to be an element of like heavy farming in jungle, especially with the way the role has been pushed in recent years. Because I remember when I joined the league, like literally you would just get level 3, run from lane to lane. I was playing official games with mobility boots at least, playing like a maniac. It was great times, but you can't do that anymore. You fall too far behind. I think now one thing that I'm going to look out for is, again, how are they going to punish the bot lanes? And I think the Void Grubs in particular, yesterday a lot of junglers just instantly started them the moment they spawned. But if this is something you're aware of, you can easily make a plan even before the game begins. Like if they go Void Grubs around minute 5, we're going to set up a slow push bot, we're going to dive them, and we're going to win the game off of that. Because Void Grubs, again, had 0 impact yesterday on any game really. But if you can know they're going to do it and then double kill their bot lane, well, you can easily win the game off of that.
Void Grub slander. There's a lot of it today. Yeah, we'll see indeed today. We are still experiencing a bit of a delay indeed. So maybe we can talk about kind of the state of the league. Let's get the standings up. The standings overview from yesterday, which will be pretty clear cut. There is only so much we can talk about, so please don't get mad. I know you love to get mad, but when we give like a sweeping statement, like it's only one game. So what can we say besides, well, Vitality sucks because they didn't win yet. That doesn't mean that that statement's going to be true forever. Or is it, Trimby?
I mean, Rogue lost, but I will not. Like, come on, guys. I can't say such stuff. You know, you know how it goes.
No. I think it's clear. Everyone on the right-hand side not going to playoffs. Even if we actually only knock out 2 teams, it's overreacting 101. You have to just assume that everyone who has lost will now lose forever. But no, I think it's like, it's super interesting to see. I think there's a couple of different teams where, like, say for K-Corp yesterday, who were playing, I think they were a little bit chaotic in the way that they approach games, but I think they've a lot that they can try and improve on. I think there was a lot of very, very close series, close games. I don't know why I keep saying series. Close games for like the likes of SK as well. That was a game that could have gone very back and forth. So I think there's still, I think it's a reflection of where a lot of people's expectations were coming into this year, which is there's kind of that clump of teams that all feels like they're kind of sitting in around that area that'll all be fighting for that kind of, I just want to say like 5th to 10th place maybe, are all quite similar. And then it's a case of you got a couple that are expected to break away. But I think seeing how close a lot of these games are only reinforced that statement for me.
It does. As we are still waiting, we do have our match of the week later. So let's get a sneak peek at that G2 Esports versus Carmine Core bout later on.
The greatest URL team that we have ever seen. The most successful EMEA Masters on the verge of a 4th.
G2 have got a dozen.
It's in our DNA to win. We've been very dominant and we've been craving to go to LEC for a few years now. So everyone is super motivated to get on this new stage.
It's always a bigger league, bigger stakes. There's a lot more people watching now. And it's not only their fan base watching, it's everyone watching. We love a challenge in our team, and I think that will also make us better and will make the league better. We are not scared. We are here to, you know, showcase we're still the best in Europe.
Yeah, they dominated, but we weren't there, so things will change now.
Yeah, that is in a few hours. Of course, first we need to get through our first 2 games of the day, our match of the week. Trimby, it's been really insane seeing kind of KC entering the league yesterday. They were so loud. They played Fnatic, and I know it was so cool to see the banter. I know, unfortunately, of course, for the KC fans, they didn't win their first game, but it's almost like there's a reinvigorated fandom going on in the LEC. They have lit a fire under other teams as well. I was speaking to, for instance, some of the people, the fans of G2, and they were saying, yeah, you know, we talked about it, how much energy there is and how we want to deal with it, and it's really awesome to see.
Yeah, I think it will influence everyone else, you know, other fans, even the teams, I would say, like, you for sure hear them under those headsets. And yeah, I think even players said yesterday that they could actually hear, you know, like how loud the fans were. So it's gonna be all about, right, how you can match it with the other fans, which will be hard possibly versus like KC fans, right? But it's all about, it gives so much more energy to overall this whole area. It just feels so nice to be around.
And I definitely noticed it as like when you're in the casting booth yesterday, you could kind of see, like, say Carmine Corp starts going off, you kind of see the Fnatic fans going, come on, we gotta beat them, and trying to get into it and trying to amp up the energy. And it definitely felt like it just kind of became this shouting match of who's going to get the one up. But I'm expecting a very similar story as we get to G2 later today as well, one of the big fandoms that we have. It feels like it is going to be just, I know, like just whatever the equivalent of loud noises is for fisticuffs is basically what we're going to get.
What?
Yeah, fisticuffs.
What's that?
Fisticuffs.
What's a fisticuff?
Yeah, it's like a boxing match.
Oh, is
yeah.
it those things you have on your cup?
I know, they're like, I don't know, fisticuffs is just like if you say put them up and I'm going to fight.
Ah,
yeah. It's like, we went to fisticuffs. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I see. Cool. That is later on. As a reminder, we still have some issues getting into that game, but I hear we're close. I don't want to jinx it, so let's head over to Vedius and Hysterics.
Don't worry, we'll make things better, ladies and gentlemen. We'll make things better because if you're looking at us, it must be a good vibe. It's a good sign. It's no jinx. It's no jinx. And by the way, you know what fisticuffs is, don't you?
Yeah.
Straight away?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Because like, and then
you put them up? Is all?
no. That's what pre-game entertainment. We're gonna fight. And knuckle dusters, I think, the other word we're looking for.
Yeah, that's what she described. Knuckle dusters,
yeah. But no,
very violent tool.
It's weird how similar, like, you know, Australians and Irish are. Rob says a lot of things, but other people are like, what? And I'm like, I know exactly what he's talking about. You know, what's the crack? We just don't spell it with an IC.
My favorite Australian saying is, "We're not here to put shoes on a caterpillar."
Yep.
Spawn told me that one. He was like, we're not here to waste time. We're not here to put
Maybe
shoes
it's a Melbourne
on a
thing.
caterpillar.
I don't know. I've never heard that.
You've never heard that one?
No.
Well, there is another one relating to spiders, which I'm not allowed to say on air.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, what have you got? Oh. Have you also know, fair shake of the sauce bottle? You heard
fair
that?
shake of the sauce bottle?
Yeah.
A fair shake of the sauce bottle? No.
Yeah. Our Prime Minister said that.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
I don't know. It means he was way with words. If you are just joining us and watching me and Vedi, give a bit of a g'day. We are waiting for players to get back onto stage, but what is LEC without a small delay? LPL had delays all the time. I live in this space.
You are the master of delays, I believe.
I live and walk in it. I did a quiz last time. Yeah. I went through Question the Meaning of Life. It goes any which way. It doesn't matter.
Have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy?
No, I haven't. Everyone tells me I should. Why?
Well, I mean, the meaning of life. The answer's right in there.
Oh, yeah. Isn't it 42?
It is 42.
Oh, that's
Spoilers.
a spoiler. Sorry about that. How long has the book been out? 20 years?
Yeah.
30
you know,
years?
I love that book so much that I actually learned an excerpt from it, which is my favorite part, which is the... he's getting evicted from his home.
Right.
And they sit there and go, if you wanted to combat this, the destruction of your home, you could have gone to the planning office. And he said, I did go to the planning office. And he said, right, then you found the documentation. Yes. I had to go down into the cellar. That's where the planning department is. With a torch. The lights were probably out. So were the stairs. Well, you found the planning documents, didn't you? Yeah. And a locked filing cabinet in a disused lavatory with a sign on the door saying, beware of the leopard.
How do you remember
It's
all
my
of that?
favorite scene. It's
Wow.
my favorite thing from the whole book. I was
just-
in stitches the first time I read that.
I'm just more impressed that you remembered all that. That's
I also
great.
used to know all of the, you know, the dialogue between Captain Jack and the two guards around the commandeering of the
Oh,
ship?
yes.
I used to know all of the dialogue for that.
Really?
I used to. I don't anymore.
Another Savant, another Pirate Savant. Well done. The banger movies. I mean,
Commandeer. I was a big fan, yeah.
I mean, Benny, you and I are going to get on like a house on fire. And hopefully we get close.
What does that mean? Why would I... What?
Is that? Do you not know that phrase either?
I know the phrase. I just don't understand the meaning.
Get on like a house on fire. You know, it's you've only got your last point of contact probably before you go up in flames, I guess. Is that what it means?
What this relationship is going to be? Up in flames?
I'm not sure. there is a way out if you have to get out. But look, at the very least, you want to talk about League? You don't have to, but we can if you want.
Yeah, we can talk about League.
Yeah, we can.
Have you got a favorite champion on the current patch?
It's Nocturne.
You? Really?
No, it's just because you're here. It's because you're
you
here.
don't have to cater to me. No one else in this team does. Go on, tell me who your favorite champion on the patch is.
It's probably Hui, isn't it? Because he's new.
Hui?
Yeah.
Do
Because
you know all of his ability names?
I tried remembering them. Medic was quizzing me backstage, and he was giving me funny names for it. Now I've forgotten the real names. I have some of them in the back of my brain, you know, like Devastating Fire.
QQ.
That's, yeah. What's QW? I've already forgotten.
It's the Lightning Bolt.
Yeah. Severe Bolt.
And then I actually forget what QE is. That's the
Bolt and
AoE.
Fisher.
That's the Brawmolt.
No, the Rumble ult.
The Brawmolt.
Yeah, the Rumble ult. It's fire. It's got to be Rumble.
It's the Brawman Rumble Ultimate.
Right. Okay. All right.
Now, we do have some good news.
Please.
We are being told that the player walkouts are getting ready, and here we are. No more delays.